Merry Crimbo! Let's take a look back at the year as we enjoy the Crimbo festivities. Last year, the pirates ran Crimbo, which saw us visiting islands themed for different holidays, including a strange one called Christmas. Crimbo this year is once again on an island, but this time populated by skeletons. I'll enjoy the journey as the Crimbo World event unfolds. This year saw the return of the time-twitching tower with the addition of a new level. The new level included Allied Headquarters, No Man's and also No Skeletons Land, and Axis Headquarters. Players fought on the Allied side, obviously, though less obviously the Axis was all skeleton monsters. The new level turned out to be the best yet for farming kroner due to the kroner value of stolen artifacts dropped in Axis Headquarters. There were also 3 new rare items dropped by skeletons in No Man's Land. The accessory Ordnance Magnet that occasionally drops 1 combat item from a set, the combat item Confetti Grenade that reduces monster defense and gives a buff It's Like a Ticker Tape Parade whose strength and duration depends on the number of confetti grenades used, and the familiar hatchling Orphaned Baby Skeleton that hatches into the Baby Skeleton, a familiar that attacks and blocks opponents. This year added 3 new special challenge paths. Z is for Zootomist is an avatar path that lets you play as a mad scientist who grafts familiars to their body in order to gain new abilities. The new familiar-based abilities are powerful to make up for losing your typical permed skills. Depending on your player ID, you receive 1 out of 11 possible new familiars each time you complete a Zootomist run. The Heat Arc Hatchling becomes the Heat Wave, a familiar that does hot damage to enemies and increases your combat initiative. Its familiar equipment is the Heat Particle to add 10 hot damage each to attacks and spells. The Heat Arc may be a good choice for council quests that require high combat initiative, such as finding the modern Zmobby in the Crypt. The Cold Scrape Hatchling becomes the Cold Cut, a familiar that deals cold damage and prevents enemies from attacking. Its familiar equipment is a Cold Sword to add 10 cold damage each to attacks and spells. The Phantom Digit Hatchling becomes the Phantom Limb, a familiar that deals spooky damage and heals hit points after combat. Its familiar equipment is the Phantom Brace to add 10 spooky damage each to attacks and spells. The Foul Line Hatchling becomes the Foul Ball, a familiar that deals stench damage and acts as a stench lantern. A lantern copies your spell's damage in a specific element, helping you deal twice the damage. The name comes from the Rainbow Green Lantern, which is the first time this mechanic appeared in the game. The Foul Line is an excellent choice anytime you have trouble taking down opponents and are otherwise not using the familiar slot. The Dark Manioc Familiar Hatchling becomes the Dire Cassava, a familiar that does spooky damage to enemies who damage you. Its familiar equipment is the Grim Cellophane to make monsters less attracted to you. Passive damage from sources like the Dire Cassava is the only way to defeat certain boss monsters, such as the Unkillable Skeleton in Dreadsylvania. The Grim Cellophane can also help you complete council quests where encountering more non-combats helps you complete the quest faster, such as the Giant Trash quest. The Observer Source Code Hatchling becomes the Observer, a familiar that increases item drops and de-levels monsters at the start of combat. Its familiar equipment is the Rift Oculus to make monsters more attracted to you. The Observer may make it easier to survive tough zones while getting item drops, while its familiar equipment may help you complete some quests faster, such as the Belly Laughs Comedy Club for the Steel Organ quest. The Chill Gherkin Hatchling becomes the Cool Cucumber, a familiar that heals hit and mana points after combat. Its familiar equipment is the Sweaty Egg to regenerate between 4 and 8 hit points per adventure. The Children's Stapler Hatchling becomes the Defective Children's Stapler, a familiar that blocks attacks and at the same time damages enemies for between 10 and 20 hit points. Its familiar equipment is a carton of extra sharp rusty nails, which adds 10 each to attack and spell damage. The Defective Children's Stapler is useful anytime you need passive stinging damage, just like the Dire Cassava we've already discussed. The Plover's Egg Hatchling becomes the Glover, a familiar that weakens and repeatedly attacks your enemy. Its familiar equipment is Glover liners that give an additional 10% chance of successful pickpockets. Since the Glover's attack damage is weight-based, a heavy Glover familiar can do serious damage to help survive tough fights. The Electric Fly Swatter Hatchling becomes the Zapper Bug, a familiar that damages enemies and heals mana points in combat, and is more effective against Bug Phylum enemies. Its familiar equipment are the Mosquito Speakers, which add 5 to monster level. The Zapper Bug is a good choice anytime you struggle to maintain enough mana points. The Shame Coil Hatchling becomes the Shame Spiral, a familiar that deals sleaze damage and weakens enemies. Its familiar equipment is the Stomach Churner to add 10 sleaze damage to attacks and spells. It's fun to collect all 11 Zootomist familiars by trading your familiar with others or simply buying them from the mall, though that adds up fast. There is a trophy for players who graft all 11 reward familiars as a Zootomist. The second 2025 Special Challenge path was Hat Trick, which lets you wear as many hats as you like, but you can never take them off. Hat Trick also introduces 11 tradable new hats with useful enchantments. Consider carefully before putting them on, though. The Bishop's Mitre with prismatic damage may seem great until you're trying to get a tool from a gremlin on the mysterious island and accidentally kill it before you even have a chance. There's a new trophy for players who manage to equip at least 100 hats in path. The final 2025 Special Challenge path is 11,037 Leagues Under the Sea. You start at level 20 and must defeat 3 bosses in the sea, though you don't need to worry about any of the usual council quests. You do need to complete 3 side quests, returning the old man's boot, resolving the dispute at the skate park, and rescuing Mom's sea monkey. Purchase both the skate park map and sushi map before starting a new ascension to get them for free in future ascensions, giving you a nice head start in 11,037 Leagues Under the Sea. Each time you complete the 11,037 Leagues Under the Sea Special Challenge path, you either obtain or power up your durable dolphin whistle, a reusable dolphin whistle that can be used up to 11 times per day if fully powered up. You automatically receive the durable dolphin whistle at the start of new ascensions, making it a powerful tool to improve the PvP minigame score in Free.Willy in the current PvP season. Experienced players were able to complete this path exceptionally fast as first released, so 2 weeks after the path launched, many new restrictions were introduced. The most useful items to accelerate elements of the sea quest, such as reusing previously crafted outfits, can no longer be pulled from Hanks. The effect Fishy to reduce adventure costs for undersea adventuring can no longer be obtained from Pocket Wishes or the Mr. Store Cursed Monkey Paw. The Mr. Store Prismatic Beret can give at most 1 adventure of Fishy, and the Lucky Adventure in the Brinier Deeps gives 20 adventures of Fishy instead of 50. The nerf to the Fishy effect unfortunately affects all players, whether in or out of the Special Challenge path. Speaking of nerfs, several other changes made life harder in the kingdom. Once you complete certain special challenge paths that expand your stomach space, such as Avatar of Boris, and break the prism, you will no longer be able to adventure normally. A new adventure was introduced, similar to the Drunken Stupor adventures for players who exceed their liver capacity, specific to players who have exceeded their stomach capacity. This limits players' adventuring options on the day they complete such paths. Ninja Snowman Assassins are no longer copyable monsters, and their drops have been made into quest items. Any copies of their drops in inventory when the change was made were transformed into broken versions, the Frayed Ninja Rope, Dull Ninja Crampons, and Loose Ninja Carabiner. This change was made while the McHuge Large Deluxe Ski Set was the current item of the month in Mr. Store, which coincidentally made the alternate extreme slope path to completing the Mount McLarge Huge Council quest much easier. The extreme slope is now considered the faster path for speedrunners than tracking down Ninja Snowman Assassins. Players trying to obtain the Tentacle Tickler trophy will have a much more difficult time since Eldritch Tentacles were changed this year so that only the first 11 fights each day don't cost adventures. Further Eldritch Tentacle fights cost adventures. This also limits options for speedrunners in Standard trying to find monsters that are free fights to copy into delay zones. Watch my video on delay for more details. The fireworks shop in the Clan VIP room used to be accessible to everyone via chat commands, but it is now limited to owners of the Mr. Store Clan VIP key. Owners of the Clan VIP key can no longer access the fireworks shop under standard restrictions. This year also brought several small improvements to the kingdom. The wiki has been switched to a new, more reliable ad-free version. Make sure to update your links to use wiki.kingdomofloathing.com. Food and booze both display additional quality levels above Epic, all the way from Super Epic to Super Ultra Mega Turbo Epic. Plain old Epic food gives 5 adventures per fullness, while Super Ultra Mega Turbo Epic food gives 10 adventures per fullness. Use the new qualifiers to help you pick your best diet on days you need more adventures. You can now store up to 239 custom chat macros instead of 138. I'm safe either way with my 2 chat macros. Questlog notes have been increased in size from 5,000 characters to 11,111 characters, more than double. Age is no longer displayed on player profiles. Clan Rumpus Room Adventures or PvP fights are no longer automatically applied. You need to click each piece of equipment to get your adventures or fights. This may seem like a negative, but it allows you to explicitly pick whether you want adventures or fights from the Rumpus Room each day. Bleeding Edge players can also stack more potions and equipment on to reach the 200 adventure daily rollover limit and get the Rumpus Room adventures afterwards. Watch my videos for all the details about each Mr. Store item this past year. The best Mr. Store item of the month from the past year for quality of life is the new in-box toy Cupid bow. The best for farming are new in-box toy Cupid bow and Stocking Full of Bones. None were particularly good for PvP. And the best for speedruns is the lab-grown Blood Cubic Zirconia. The best items of the month from the last year overall are the new in-box toy Cupid bow and lab-grown Blood Cubic Zirconia. PvP seasonal rewards this past year were the antagonistic snowman kit to summon an aggressive carrot to prank your friends, a repeat from the final season of 2024. The Book of Irony, which gives a brand new skill to summon a spoon combat item each day, which can be multi-used at 10,000 spoons to get the one-handed unironic knife, which does 10 to 20 damage and adds a 75% chance of weapon drops from monsters. Law of Averages, which can be used to even out your stats, muscle, mysticality, and moxie, hit and mana points, and effects by a small amount, and to gain one adventure if you have less than 200 or lose one adventure if you have more than 200. Map to Kokomo to create the content unlocker Kokomo Resort Pass, School of Hard Knocks diploma for an extra PvP fight, and Glitch Season reward name for a free fight each day. I hope this brings you up to date with all the changes in the kingdom this year. Merry Crimbo and happy adventuring!